In the headlines for this hour on VTV News, National Assembly Standing Committee Q&A session focuses on finance and foreign affairs. And Vietnam gets ready to attract high-quality FDI projects. And in our world news, President Putin wins his 5th presidential term in Russia.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi. You're watching VTV News. Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng, on behalf of the party and state of Vietnam, on March 18 sent a congratulatory letter to Vladimir Putin on his overwhelming victory and re-election as president of Russia. On Monday, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính received Uzbekistan Minister of Foreign Affairs Theo Saidov, who is on an official visit to Vietnam. The Prime Minister proposed that both sides promote political and diplomatic relations, increase the exchange of delegations at all levels. He also suggested that the two sides promote economic, trade and investment cooperations in areas with great potentials and increase the exchange of goods that both sides have strengthened. Uzbekistan Foreign Minister affirmed that Uzbekistan considers Vietnam an important partner in South Asia and wishes to further promote traditional friendship and multi-faceted cooperations with Vietnam. Also on Monday, during a meeting with his Uzbekistan counterpart Theo Saidov, Vietnamese Minister of Foreign Affairs Bùi Thanh Sơn affirmed that this is an opportunity for the two sides to consolidate good traditional friendship and promote bilateral cooperation in various fields. He also thanks Uzbekistan for creating favorable conditions for the Vietnamese community to live, study, and do business stably in Uzbekistan. For his part, the Uzbekistan Minister of Foreign Affairs proposed to deepen economic, trade, investment, agriculture, and educational cooperation between the two countries. He expressed his hope that Vietnam will support the expansions of cooperation between ASEAN and Central Asia. During National Assembly Standing Committee Q&A session, Minister of Finance Hồ Đức Phước answered questions from National Assembly deputies about a group of issues in the field of finance.
During Monday morning's session, several National Assembly deputies discussed pressing issues. These included proposals to adjust personal and dependent family tax allowances, as well as strategies to regulate the gold and foreign exchange markets.
Is the Ministry of Finance considering plans to increase the family deductions for individuals and dependents in future personal income tax assessments?
Starting in 2025, the personal income tax revision will commence. During this time, the Ministry of Finance will seek input from the public, agencies, and organizations. This process will include a re-evaluation of the family allowance factor.
Given the significant fluctuations and notable increases in domestic gold prices, we request that the Minister of Finance recommends solutions for effectively managing the gold market.
To reduce gold and dollar prices, in my opinion, we must implement measures affecting supply and demand, including import and export policies. Decisions on whether to import gold and stricter regulations on trading are essential.
Several National Assembly deputies expressed interest in creating legal regulations for lotteries, betting, casinos, and prize-winning electronic games. They are particularly interested in understanding these activities' impact on economic growth and local communities.
Could you please explain what changes have been made in the legal framework for the business of electronic games with prizes and betting in recent times? Why has the Ministry of Finance not yet licensed any betting businesses?
We have various betting categories, including football, horse racing, and greyhound racing, which have yet to be implemented. The initial delay was due to the lack of provisions in the betting law for organizing football betting. Currently, we must formulate specific legislation to create a legal framework for these betting activities.
Also, on March 18, Minister of Foreign Affairs Phie answered questions from the National Assembly Standing Committees on issues in the field of diplomacy, such as the implementation of cultural diplomacy strategies, protections of Vietnamese citizens, and legal entities abroad, and economic diplomacy.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Phie affirmed that, under the leadership of the party's Central Committee, the Politburo, the Secretariat, headed by General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng, the diplomatic sector has strongly promoted its bamboo diplomacy. He also clarified the results of implementing the cultural diplomacy strategy, promoting tourism and socio-economic development.
What are the results of implementing cultural diplomacy in promoting the image of Vietnam to the world?
The foreign affairs activities of our senior leaders were highlighted by cultural diplomacy activities. The image of our party chief drinking tea with Chinese President Xi Jinping, or our Prime Minister drinking coffee with his Belarusian counterpart, conveys the image of a friendly Vietnam.
What measures has the ministry implemented to ensure the safety of Vietnamese citizens in conflict areas?
During the Russia-Ukraine conflict, 7,000 Vietnamese citizens were evacuated to a safe place, nearly 2,000 people returned to Vietnam, and the rest went to surrounding countries. We recently evacuated 1,400 Vietnamese people from Myanmar and provided support for evacuating citizens of 6 countries stuck in Myanmar.
Can you share the roadmap to attract investment in the coming time for bordered localities?
Determining and completing border demarcation with neighboring countries is the most important achievement. Now we must exploit that border of peace and friendship for mutually beneficial development. At this point, we are coordinating with localities to negotiate and upgrade border gates.
Concluding the Q&A session, Vice Chairman of the National Assembly Nguyễn Khắc Định assessed that the Minister of Foreign Affairs has shown a high sense of responsibility. His answers were clear and concise, straight to the point, and stated the solutions.
Lê Hoài Trung, Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee and Chairman of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee's Commission for External Relations, held talks with Liu Jianchao, Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and Chairman of the Communist Party of China Central Committee International Liaison Department in Jilin Province on March 18th. The two sides agreed to maintain frequent high-level exchanges and meetings, further promote the effectiveness of party-to-party relations to set strategic orientations for the country ties, and step up exchanges and cooperation. They agreed to strengthen ties in defense, security, foster people-to-people interaction, and increase communications about the traditional friendship between the two parties, countries, and peoples. Regarding sea-related issues, the Vietnamese party officials asked the two sides to consolidate the common perceptions on maintaining peace and stability at sea, coordinating to resolve sea-related issues in line with the high-level common perceptions, and settling differences by peaceful means and in conformity with international laws. Coming up next on VTV News, Vietnam gets ready to attract high-quality FDI projects. And ethnic people in Hòa Bình province on journey to digital transformation. reducing lending interest rates, reducing transaction costs, reducing troubles, reducing negativities are the requests of the Prime Minister at the 2024 Monetary Policy Conference to increase the possibility of access to capital for businesses and people. Just 3 days after the conference, many banks had their new and old loans adjusted to reduce interest rate by around 0.5% per year.
Each month, this bicycle factory needs capital of about $809,000. Businesses have to increase raw material imports by 20% for the peak season, so they need more money.
Lending interest rates are 2% lower than the same period last year. With the government's drastic guidance recently, we also hope that interest rates will decrease in the near future.
$404,500 with an interest rate of only 5.8% per year is this bank's preferential capital source for business customers.
When implementing the preferential interest rate package, it was reduced by 0.6% per year, applicable to manufacturing enterprises with loan terms of less than 6 months.
Not only providing new loans with low interest rates, more than 100,000 customers in industrial production, agriculture, export, energy, science and technology and consumer sectors also received interest rate reductions from this bank.
Vietcombank decided to implement a reduction of up to 0.5% per year in VND lending interest rates for existing loans of individual and business customers.
Reducing lending interest rates, announcing average interest rates and many solutions to increase capital flows into the economy. Banks are helping to promote credit growth in the coming time.
The need for new investments and factory expansion from European businesses as well as high-tech corporations around the world continues to increase in Vietnam. Notably, the disbursement speed of FDI projects in the past 2 months is quite high. Realized FDI capital is estimated at $2.8 billion, the highest in the same period in the past 5 years. This is thanks to many localities being highly proactive in attracting FDI capital flow into high-tech projects.
Amkor Technology Group's semiconductor chip factory is undergoing trial operation. These are 2 of the group's 20 chip production locations globally that are 100% newly built and will become the group's largest semiconductor chip production center in the world.
The factory in Bac Ninh province is our most advanced and modern factory globally. Many of our business partners are very interested in this project and have come here to verify the technology.
Although Bac Ninh province is a relatively small province in the country, it is still in the leading group of provinces attracting high-tech industrial projects. The reason is due to the province's strategic development vision, which focuses on efficiency, streamlined administration procedures, readiness in land rent and human resources.
Bac Ninh has established a special working group of head of different departments and experts to solve difficulties in various fields. They work together to remove difficulties in specific projects.
In the past 2 months, new projects granted investment registration certificates across the country increased by over 55% in quantity and more than 2 times higher in value.
Looking at investors are also looking into long-term growth and long-term opportunities in Vietnam, and for there definitely Vietnam need to look into green growth opportunities. Investors are looking to source green energy, to be in an eco-friendly environment.
The battle to control core technology and chip technology is causing global businesses to look for high-tech investment locations. This is an opportunity but also a pressure that requires Vietnam's readiness as well as synchronization of infrastructure and policies to attract investors.
The export turnover in the first 2 months of the year exceeded $59 billion, marking an increase of over 19% due to improved export to primary markets. In particular, the trade balance of goods saw a surplus of over $4.7 billion, the highest level for the same period in the past decade. This indicates growth momentum in sectors such as agriculture, forestry, fishery, constructions, and services. More to follow.
This new strategy has opened up opportunities in the U.S. market, particularly as orders from traditional markets such as South Korea and Europe have declined. Consequently, they anticipate generating $12.1 million in revenue this year.
In 2024, our company anticipates producing over 2 million pairs of shoes. Despite a 20% increase in staff, revenue has doubled compared to when older materials were used.
Conversely, the import turnover of goods in the first 2 months of the year increased by 18% compared to the same period last year. The primary imports include machinery, equipment, raw materials, and fuel for domestic production. Export industries are actively restructuring to accommodate orders.
In response to the challenges faced in 2023, businesses have undergone extensive restructuring, including overhauling and streamlining their production processes and reorganizing their workforce.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade asserts that the current significant trade surplus is a testament to the business sector's successful market exploration. Improved competitiveness of export goods and effective resolution of challenges. This success has been notably supported by the government.
Our largest trade surplus is with the US market, with the EU coming in second. Notably, in markets where we typically experience trade deficits, such as Japan, we have achieved a trade surplus in the last 2 months.
The highest trade surplus in the first 2 months of the year also contributed to macroeconomic stability. It increased foreign currency resources amid the rising value of the USD, creating room for the state bank to stabilize exchange rates and control inflation.
Ho Chi Minh City People's Councils had just passed a resolution on assigning the number of official civil servants and part-time workers in wards, communes, and towns in the city. Ho Chi Minh City will have nearly 300 administrative civil servants added to the People's Committees of wards, communes, and towns. Resolution 98 on supplementing leadership human resources continue to be an important basis for the locality to improve its public services to people.
A workday for Ms. Nguyễn Thị Như An, Judicial Civil Status Officer of Vĩnh Lộc A Commune, Bình Chánh District, Ho Chi Minh City starts early but ends much later than a normal state administrative staff. Since downsizing, the entire department has gone from 35 people to only 5 people. Meanwhile, every day Vĩnh Lộc A Commune receives about 350 administrative documents including cadastral, construction, civil status, and photocopy authentication. Working overtime to process all documents according to regulations is a daily occurrence.
Currently, we are spread very thin, and we have to multitask. If Resolution 98 is implemented soon and staff is increased, it will reduce the burden on current officials.
Vĩnh Lộc A is the commune with the largest population in Ho Chi Minh City, with more than 153,000 people. The commune manages a large area, including 15 hamlets and 247 groups. If the new resolution is followed, the commune will have 15 additional personnel. Specifically, 1 vice chairman of the Commune People's Committee, 5 civil servants in charge of the government sector, and 9 part-time officials.
I think Resolution 98 is a very necessary and practical policy, meeting the actual needs of localities in densely populated communes like Vĩnh Lộc. Specifically, it relieves the tension and pressure on civil servants in recent times.
Overloading has caused many state employees to quit their jobs. Before 2022, in just 6 months, 3 civil servants and 1 part-time officer in Vĩnh Lộc A Commune have quit their jobs. In the long run, more effective policies need to be in place to remove this current challenge.
In the Mekong Delta, Bến Tre province is identified as a locality with a complicated rabies situations. From the beginning of the year until now, the province has had rabies outbreaks in Châu Thành district and Bến Tre city. The local authorities have deployed forces to increase awareness within the community and vaccinate dogs and cats in the areas. Recently, many localities across the country have recorded a sudden increase in rabies cases. Project number 6 on developing the applications of population data, identification, and electronic authentications to serve national digital transformations to 2030 is a bright spot in digital transformation across the country. In provinces and cities with a large number of ethnic people, the local government and task force have been actively implementing project number 6. More to follow.
Bùi Thị Tươi went to Vinson Commune Police to register her stay. Previously, she would have had to fill out many registration documents by hand, including personal information. Now, just by scanning the QR code, she can look up the information and check in documents, helping to save more time than before.
The officials here gave me great help with my stay procedures and gave clear instructions. Scanning QR codes works really well.
Project number 6 focuses on 2 key points. The first is building a public service system that does not use paper records. The second is digitizing data creation based on the National Population Database. Digital transformation makes it easier for local authorities to manage the population, provide health insurance services for ethnic people who live scattered throughout the area.
This is a mountainous commune, so the educational level of the people is not uniform. People also do not have the habit of accessing the public service system in an interconnected way. However, we will continue to guide people to use VNEID, thereby ensuring digital transformation according to project number 6.
In general, everything is very good, very quick, and doesn't take as long as before. My wish is for the committee to be more enthusiastic with the people who come to do the procedures.
Hua Binh Province has recently integrated and provided 1,335 online public services on the National Public Service Portal. More than 410,000 electronic identity accounts have been successfully activated.
With project number 6 of the government, up to now, the set goals and targets have been basically completed. We have completed all subjects for ID issuance and the electronic identity authentication is completed, ensuring the required progress.
2 years of implementing project number 6, Hua Binh Province has achieved positive initial results, with people and businesses supporting the project and appreciating the results. This contributes to improve the quality and efficiency of management, especially for a locality with more than 74% ethnic people.
Coming up next in our war news, President Putin won his 5th presidential term in Russia. And Rio de Janeiro set new thermal sensation record at 62.3 degrees Celsius. President Vladimir Putin has been re-elected to his 5th term as president of Russia after winning 87.3% of the vote in the presidential elections that ended on Monday. According to a preliminary result from Russia's Central Election Committee, President Putin received the support of more than 76 million people, equivalent to 87.3% of the vote. On Monday evening, as soon as the first preliminary results were available, President Putin gave a victory speech at his campaign headquarters in Moscow. He announced that Russia is facing many challenges and he pledges to do his best to solve this country's tasks and achieve the goals that everyone prioritizes. He hopes for a strong, independent, sovereign Russia, and the election results will allow him and the Russian people to achieve all those goals. According to South Korea, Joint Chief of Staff, North Korea launches a ballistic missile toward the east coast of the Korean peninsula on Tuesday morning. The projectiles flew about 300 kilometers before falling outside Japan's exclusive economic zone. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida spoke out against North Korea ballistic missiles launches and considered them a violation of United Nations Security Council's resolutions. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is visiting South Korea, also opposed North Korea's new launches and called on Pyongyang to return to negotiation. Currently, Pyongyang has not commented the latest missiles launch. The Chinese economy grew stronger in the first 2 months of 2024 with significant improvements in key indicators, including productions and investment. This information was released by the National Bureau of Statistics of China on Monday morning. In the first 2 months of this year, the key economic indicators of value-added industrial output, a measure of activity in the manufacturing, mining, and utility sectors, increased by 7% year-on-year. Among them, productions of high-tech goods and productions and supply of electricity and gas increased the most. Compared to the same period last year, in the first 2 months, China retail sales of consumer goods increased by 5.5%, of which online retail sales increased by 15.3%. Rio de Janeiro has set a new thermal sensation record after a neighborhood on the west side, Rabies, recorded 62.3 Celsius on Sunday morning. This is the highest thermal sensation recorded since the Rio Alert System began taking measurements in 2014. More to follow.
Residents flocked to beaches and pools to try to ease the heat, while others said sometimes there is not enough water to drink or bathe in amid the high temperatures.
Cold water, air conditioning, because there is no other way to stay in the sun here, just cold water and air conditioning, that's it.
No one even sleeps at night anymore, they stay outside. If you use air conditioning, the energy bill gets high. I can't afford it myself because for now I'm unemployed.
According to Rio Operations Center's report, thermal sensation is a heat index calculated from temperature and relative humidity data. The higher the temperature and relative humidity, the greater the sensation of heat in that region.
Science has clearly shown that what kills most people in the extreme weather events that are exploding around the world are heat waves, not landslides or floods.
Guaratiba is prone to high temperatures due to its proximity to the ocean and warm northerly winds that hit the area, the Rio Operations Center added.
And now let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's it for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.